Good morning. It's a beautiful day, a Saturday morning. The sun's out, a little bit of wind, a little chilly, but nonetheless, a great day to plant trees. I want to welcome you to this beautiful day where from Rebuilding Together, we've partnered thanks to City of Duarte. And representing City of Duarte, we have Gerard Bautista from Field Services. Gerard,
Hello.
what an awesome day.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And we're glad to have you as part of our community group helping us with the tree planting.
All right. But we do have a third partner in crime here, and that is from West Coast Arborist. We have David Pineda. David, welcome to What a Beautiful Day, right?
Yeah, great day to be planting trees. Yes.
All right. So, David, I know West Coast Arborists has been instrumental in getting the grant because, quite honestly, this is not costing City of Duarte, the residents, a single penny in terms of planting the trees, purchasing the trees, or any of that. So can you share with us about the grant?
Yeah. Well, real quick, the city of Duarte is committing a lot to this project. They've been a huge partner in getting the sites, helping set up for the event, putting together a workshop, and committing to the long-term maintenance of the trees. So they've been a huge help, and they will be instrumental in the success of the trees. The grant as a whole, we're planting 2,500 trees throughout the state of California, which is awesome. We partnered with City of Duarte because we saw a benefit in helping plant trees in this area, and we're looking forward to doing it all throughout the state.
So what you mentioned is very important, that once the trees are planted, there is an ongoing nurturing of those trees, and that brings the ball into Gerard's court. And so, Gerard, I know you had to do quite a bit of preparation. We've had quite a few meetings, and we've had very fruitful conference calls. Share us sort of the logistics that folks don't see.
Sure, no problem. In the last several months, we've been preparing for this event, and one of the many things is identifying the sites that are appropriate, having the tree list that we do have that would trees fit in the right place, which is a major thing that is important to the process of making tree selection. Once selected and identified, then we prepared all the sites and pre-dug them with an auger to make the volunteer day a little easier for installation, and then early tree care. That's the next step. After this event today, for the next 2 years, early tree care is key to a young tree's establishment and growth and vigor. So we're committed to doing that. And, of course, maintaining the entire urban forest for the city of Duarte, besides a new additional 200 trees we're going to be planting.
But also, this is also a great opportunity because I know we lost quite a few trees in the past. Right. This is a great way to replenish that too.
Yeah, correct. We have an estimated amount of 6,100 trees in the city, but there are actually probably well over 1,800 vacancies. And so due to budget restraints, it's always difficult we're able to prune on a routine basis, but tree planting and replacement's been difficult. So this 200 addition knocks down that 1,800 to a lower amount. So it's very helpful. Yeah,
that's very good. But also, I think one of the flexibilities that I really liked in the meetings, David, when I was listening to everybody on the conference call, is, you just don't grab any tree and plant it. There's a thought process, the climate, the elevation, the area, geography, all that has to do a lot. And obviously, Gerard had gotten a list, so there were specific lists. And as I understand, you were able to fulfill those lists and make sure Gerard stays happy.
Yeah. Tree selection is very important, especially in this day and age. As we're going after trees that sequester more carbon, that provide us more health benefits, they're typically going to be larger trees with wider canopies, and that's why the focus of this grant is parks, because parks allow us to plant large trees that are going to have long-term benefits and kind of maximize the site for the greatest potential benefits.
Well, I think this gives you a shorter idea in terms of what has transpired. But what's coming forward, I think, is going to be equally excitement, if not more. And that is the community, but not just the resident community of Duarte. This has actually attracted a lot of folks outside the community from neighboring communities who are coming to today's event and just helping plant trees. Share that with us.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing because as people nowadays are more aware of the environment and the impact they're having, they're always looking for opportunities to give back. And if we could help them plant trees and teach them the right way to plant trees and the thought that goes into selecting a tree species, it'll carry on with them beyond just today. And that's really what we're looking for when we're having workshops, when we're having tree planting events.
And that explains one of the things is I think one key component of this event was having professional arborists to help facilitate that process.
Yeah, absolutely. We invite arborists that are part of the Western Chapter International Society of Arboriculture. I know they get a good kick out of it because they get to show what they know and help give back to the community. And also for residents and community members that come out, they're able to ask questions, to engage arborists, and to know trees from a professional stance, which I think is important so that there's no misconception of how to plant a tree, how to care for a tree.
So my son shared a joke this morning. He goes, "Dad, you know some things about arborists, right?" I go, "No." He goes, "Arborists don't do mulch." But Gerard, we'll take any joke we can get. Gerard, I think another key part, and I remember that, and you brought that up, is again, the 2 years there's a dedication to making sure that these trees become vibrant. A lot of behind the scene logistics go from you because you're responsible for all these parks. That means you've got the irrigation systems, how the water flows, and all that good stuff. Share how that played a role in this.
Sure, no problem. First, ideally, we pick the site, and the site is crucial because we want the tree to be in the right place. Then we have to ensure that it's getting the ample amount of water it needs routinely, especially in its early years. And then and during that time, we call it a monitoring time period, is that if we see the tree staked or needs to be restaked, or if it's leaning or falling, or any adjustments that can be made are made early in that process. So really, it's a constant observation of the new trees especially, and then eventually the stakes can be removed and the trees established, and then it can rely on a little less routine watering than typical. But typical for the parks, plenty of water is usually established for trees like this, like these new trees are going to be planted. So. And
then I think also equally important is, one of the important things in parks is you have this open area where people can play soccer, throw a frisbee, play ball with their dog. So placement is very crucial too, because you don't want to take other benefits away too.
That's right. In the process of deciding where trees went, I needed to leave some open space for exactly what you said, Manoj, where people want to kick the ball around or have an organized sport or just to have a picnic and play volleyball or whatever it might be. You want to leave space for that part of the value of the park as well. But still accent the trees where it's going to give a shade and comfort in areas that can just people can just sit under a tree and read and relax. So.
Now, I know we have quite a few dignitaries that have been invited today, and we're concentrating this day in terms of planting in 3 particular parks, which are pretty close proximity to this kickoff park, which is Encanto Park. And Sheriff.
Sure, and Encanto Park is the largest park that has the most trees per capita in the city. It's a 14-acre park, so it's quite big. In this park site, we have 75 trees that we selected to be planted. In the park site located in Hacienda, there's 25 trees to be planted, and the park site located at Royal Oaks Park in the east and the west part of Royal Oaks Park is a combination of 25 trees as well. So that in combination will be, just today alone, will be 125, and then we'll do the remainder trees at a later date.
And then there's other logistics behind where West Coast Arborist comes in, because if we can quickly pan just towards that way, and I know the cameraman's going, "Why are you doing this to me?" but explain to this. I mean, there was quite a bit of logistics in terms of the physical plants itself. Share with us that logistics.
Yeah, so right now the crew's trying to get each tree, each species in the right location that was selected by Gerard. So what they're going around to make it easier for the lives of the volunteers is staging the trees adjacent or next to where the tree is going to be planted. This helps streamline the process for volunteers and being able to find the tree and get it in the ground.
That's true. The last thing we need is a volunteer just leaving. Or I should say leafing, because they couldn't figure out which tree goes where. Another bad joke. But that's okay. It gets worse. So, folks, stay tuned for more bad jokes. But more importantly, we're going to share with you some of the other scenes that are going on. We've got volunteers already coming in, signing up, grabbing a cup of coffee, some pastries. We've got quite a few dignitaries who are coming in. This is a very important event, not just for the community, I think, but but in general, I mean, we need to make sure our parks are always green, and the trees, the role they play, not just our lives, but from an economic standpoint of view. But we'll be sharing more of that, so stay tuned.
They're carrying. So have a wide shot. Yeah, no. Stop. Stay about 5 seconds or so. Good. Get the guy right there. Get the guy too. Oh, you were sitting in a truck. I remember. I think that. Right over there. Sometimes you have to just stand because sometimes you know. Come down. And hold it, and then you see that in the air. Were they handling?
Wow, I had no idea. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm not able to. I have to coordinate this right now. Hang out. You're just not. Are you going to be here and help out? Yeah. Perfect. Let's hold on to that, and then we'll touch base. Okay? Because I really have to
Quiet
out
so
right
you can
now.
see what's happening in the foreground and the background.
Even if he's helping us,
No, it's fine. Oh, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
You know,
Sometimes
one
you
of
don't
us
have to follow. You need to let them go out of.
Okay, welcome everybody. I know that we've all been patiently waiting to get started, and we're running a little bit behind, so I apologize for that. A little bit of a logistics concern that we're straightened out, so it has a lot to do. It starts to get confusing when you have 75 trees to place and make sure you're putting the right species in the right place. So, but West Coast Arborist is now, the crew has moved on to Royal Oaks Park to continue. But I'd like to welcome everybody to today's Arbor Day from the city of Duarte. And this has been almost a year in planning. And this is what's called the Cool Parks Grant. As a matter of fact, we have the wonderful sign, invest from the ground up in cool parks. And we'll hear a little bit more in detail later about the grant itself. But I wanted to welcome everybody and thank you for coming. And then I'd like to kick off as a city representative. I'd like to invite our Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Sam Kang, up to speak and say a few words.
I'm not really Sam Kang. I just heard there's really good food over here, so I'm just gonna eat. I'm just kidding. But anyways, Liz Riley, you want to come over here? She's my colleague. She's a council member over here. And also earlier you saw a taller blonde lady. She is Margaret Finley. Unfortunately, she had to go to Monterey Park to help her family out on some other occasions, but she was also here too. Well, welcome everybody. How are you guys doing? I can hardly see you guys, but how are you guys doing? Yeah! Are you guys ready to go ahead and plant some trees? You know, I am such a hardcore advocate in regards to planting trees. It is a great thing for us. I really believe that when you see a lot of trees, it just, it just soothes you and it relaxes you. And every day you can go ahead and wake up and smell this clean, crisp oxygen. It is the greatest thing. Don't you guys think?
Yes, sir.
And, for the longest time, probably how many years ago, Mr. Y, we had that windstorm? 2011. We had so many trees over here before, and so many trees actually collapsed due to the strong wind. And because of that, I feel very, very saddened. And I want to give you one fact, and it's actually from treepeople.org, is the more trees you see in a city, the correlation is it shows wealth, prosperity, and happiness. So, yes, and that's why we encourage people to plant more trees. And for the longest time, actually, I've been advocating that we need to go ahead and plant more trees. I'm so glad that, Mr. Gerard, you're able to go ahead and come over to our city from the city of San Gabriel to help us plant some really good-sized trees. I can go on forever, as you guys can probably know. So anyways, I want to go ahead and thank a few folks over here. Number one is Cal Fire. Cal Fire, are you guys here? Not today, but maybe tomorrow. But I can tell you a lot of these people right now are fighting good fires right now on the west side. So They are super awesome. I actually was a firefighter before, and 3 years ago we had this big old fire over here. It was intense, and a lot of the people from CAL FIRE, from all over the United States, were helping us to go ahead and mitigate this fire. So give them a hand. Second is Cal UFC, which is, I thought we're going to have some fighting here today, UFC. Okay, maybe perhaps not. But they're the Urban Forestry they're the Council. So I really do appreciate you guys for coming and helping this out. West Coast Arborist, you guys are super awesome too. And Western chapter of ISA, are you guys here?
Certified arborist?
Just kidding. Okay. And City of Duarte, Rebuilding Together. You guys are super awesome. What you guys are doing or did last week with that person's house was just impeccable. That house was pretty run down, and what you guys did within that 1 hour was pretty intensive, and it was a life-changing experience for the owner, right? And last but not least, you guys are super awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I know a lot of you guys are not from the city of Duarte, but guess what? Oxygen does not differentiate. So we need to go ahead and plant more trees so we all can go ahead and breathe better. Thank you so much for coming.
So when we had the windstorm in 2011, I had just been elected in November, and this came at the beginning of December, and I thought, oh my gosh, is this what it's going to be like? And so I'm so happy to see these trees coming in. Although Duarte really does plant a lot of trees all the time, and we're also planting 200 trees in neighborhoods. Not today, but they will be part of a grant. Today? Monday they're coming in. Okay, so that one of the things, as well as what trees do, I think, is they give you oxygen, which is wonderful for breathing, but they also cool the temperature. And by cooling the temperature, they can cool it by 10 degrees under a tree. And that's really what we need. We are having a lot of heat. The summers are hot. And so thank you very much, Gerard. Thank you. And thank you this is our first annual Arbor Day, and hopefully we will have many more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call up Ms. Veronica Lopez, please. And Ms. Veronica Lopez is she's a representative for Assemblywoman. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio, and first and foremost, I just want to thank every single one of you for volunteering today, all the organizations that came together to come here to the city of Duarte, and especially all the students today. Thank you so much. Your dedication is increasing, again, the oxygen and providing shade and to our communities. But most importantly, it continues the dedication that the residents and the city council of this community in continue to make City of Duarte the city of health. So thank you so much for that. And with that, of course, it wouldn't be a presentation without a certificate to the city. So on behalf of the Assemblywoman Blanca Rubio and the California State Legislature, we would like to present a certificate to the City of Duarte on their Arbor Day tree planting celebration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
We
much,
appreciate
Gerard.
you
Thank
taking
you
the
so
time
much.
to come out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. Nice. I'll take good care of this and make sure it gets the right place. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
Cool.
You on it?
Yep. We have, next, I'd like to say a few words on behalf of the Field Services Division of the City of Duarte. And the Field Services Division is a division that's under the Community Development Department. And thank you, Naomi, for coming. She's here with the Community Development Department. Yay! She's got a booth set up and some good little saplings or seedlings of some trees. And I want to emphasize, it might be silly, but some of you might be noticing some mosquitoes, right? So we have some off or spray, so if you're interested, I brought it, because when I've been doing the assessment for this park for a while, I have some good bites through being here if you're here for a long time. So please, I encourage you to use the off to prevent some bites. But my coworker Amanda, we teamed up on this project together. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend. She had a scheduled vacation actually some time ago. So I'd like to also thank her for her efforts throughout this whole project. And I wanted to just highlight just a little bit of what the responsibility of field services is. You know, our part as a division is where I wore my orange shirt today. I don't normally wear this anymore because I have to be, as a manager, dressed a little more professionally, but this kind of, I came from being an orange shirt originally years ago, starting here in 2000, and now as a manager, I manage the infrastructure, and that's what field services does. When I say infrastructure, I mean we manage the contractors that do tree pruning, we manage the contractors that do gardening and maintenance, and we manage the contractors that do street sweeping and also our sewer maintenance. But as a manager of the division, some of our responsibilities as a crew is a little bit of everything. Fix potholes, fix the lights, take care of plantings like this. We will tree trim when necessary for nuisance. We're jack of all trades, masters of none, and I really want to also take the opportunity to thank my staff, the crew who took the time to set up and pre-plant, or pre-dig, excuse me, for this event, which would make it a lot easier for all of you as volunteers. You'll get to that spot and find it not so difficult to dig. So we pre-dug everything for you all. But I really thank my crew for their hard work as well. A little bit about the tree side. The tree side of maintenance is quite massive, and here in the city of Duarte, we have a systematic tree maintenance program, and it's composed of pre-designed trimming grids, okay? And it's mapped out throughout the city, and that are trimmed in the entirety on a set schedule. So some of you, if you're residents, might call and say, I would like my tree trimmed, but I might say, well, that's going to be, it's a 4 to 5 year cycle. So we don't prune upon request, we prune in a cycle. So you can rest assured that we're managing that well to prevent, it increases vigor for the trees, prevents some hazards, and also keeps it maintained. Often a mistake, people think more pruning is better, but actually less is more for trees. Basically, currently our tree budget allows for the 4 to 5 year pruning cycle. So a long-term grid schedule set at the beginning of the project and enables for more efficient use of personnel and resources as well. And as far as preventive maintenance goes, street trees receive routine maintenance and inspections during that time when they grid trim as well, and then they can identify problems and correct them, when they're out there. So they're doing more than just pruning; they're also assessing our trees at the same time. But grid pruning improves the health and the tree's population through routine pruning, which removes dead wood, it corrects structure, and enhances appearance. And finally, by investing in the systematic maintenance concept, the city is maintaining its overall financial value of the community and one of the most valuable and overlooked assets. Just to kind of put into perspective, we currently have 6,100 trees in our city that are city maintained, city-owned trees. We have a deficiency of about 1,800. That means vacant sites. So today we're actually fulfilling 200 of those. So we're bringing that down to 1,600 instead of 18. So that's a great push for today's efforts from the community helping us and the outside organizations that came to help volunteer. So our goal is to continue on a good cycle. Fortunately, with the blessing of our funding from our council members to allow us to keep moving forward and progressing with this kind of maintenance is really key, in particular to the trees and all that we do in field services, but in particular, this is about trees today. So I'd like to call up our partner that I called originally to assist us in this, and it's the community group Rebuilding Together. Can I call up Manoj Patel, please?
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank our Mayor Pro Tem, Sam Kang. He actually left me a cookie here. So thank you, sir. That was very thoughtful.
Yeah, yes, you're getting hungry.
He also left me his cell phone, so it's going to be on eBay pretty soon.
Just don't call me at night.
But a couple of facts, because I look at these young, hungry minds. They want facts. When they go home, they want to impress mom and dad. So I'm going to give you 4 facts. We talked about trees providing oxygen, right? Did you know that a single tree produces 6,000 pounds of oxygen a year. Did you know that one of the things we've seen recently, especially January, February, we had a record rain, and we heard about drought, floods, and on and on and on. Well, a single tree in your front yard can actually intercept 760 gallons of rainwater in its crown, reducing runoff and flooding. Also, Jurassic Park did a great job, right? You think the dinosaurs are probably the oldest creatures on Earth, or oldest things on Earth, but that's not true. Trees are some of the longest living organisms on the planet. So you guys are smarter than you came. All right. I want to thank you guys for being here. Something about Rebuilding Together San Gabriel Valley Foothills. We've been here 22 years. We predominantly help seniors, families with a low income, but recently we've also expanded to helping nonprofits and events as such, which helps a larger forum of people. And we could not be any more excited than we are in partnering with City of Duarte and with West Coast Arborists. So thank you for allowing us to be your partners in terms of making a difference here. Trees are an important part of our lives. We need it. Mayor Pro Tem talked about the fires that are happening West Coast. We hear about all these major fires happening all over the world, in fact. And trees are as important today as they will be tomorrow, as they were yesterday. So with that, I want to keep this short. I just want to say thank you, welcome, and I hope everyone brought their green thumb, because we're going to need it today. With that, do I pass it on to you? All right, I'm going to pass it on to David. Thank you.
I'm just going to get my cookie and my phone.
All right, cool. So I'll make this quick so we get started on planting trees. As you can see with the Cool Parks sign, the Cool Parks is the name of the grant. There's a lot of logos on that sign, right? It takes a lot of people just to get one tree in the ground, and that's apparent today, and it's apparent with a lot of these projects. So special thanks to CAL FIRE, who funded our grant program, the California Urban Forest Council, who does this statewide. This project as a whole is planting 2,500 trees throughout the state of California. Today we're going to get at least 100 of those in the ground. So that's a pretty awesome achievement. I also want to thank the Western Chapter of the Western Chapter International Society of Arboriculture. They bring out volunteer arborists. They're volunteering their professional time to help us plant trees. Raise your hand, arborists. We have 4 here today. So yeah, these are tree experts, tree professionals. Lorax is at their best. They're going to be out here helping you guys plant trees. They'll give you direction if you have any questions regarding trees, whether it's tree depth or anything like that. They're definitely great references. Some more housekeeping. We have mulch and shovels right here on the side, and we'll be planting at 2 parks today. So as you saw on the sign-in, we'll be at Royal Oaks, and we'll be sending a small group there, but we'll be most of you guys will be staying here and planting the 75 we have here at Encanto. So with that, me and Gerard are going to go lead in a tree planting demonstration, and then we'll break, and we can start getting trees in the ground, right? So let's head on this way.
Wait, let me say one thing really quick, and I do apologize. We also have one more very, very special elected official over here. Reina Diaz, please stand up really quick. Give her a hand. She's part of our school board. Thank you so much for coming.
We have some volunteer professional arborists, so they'll also be chiming in and helping out with planting. But me and Gerard can give you a quick demonstration on how to do it. So the first thing is digging the hole, right? A lot of people think, I'm going to dig the hole deep and I really want to get the tree in the ground, but that's not necessarily the case. The tree should be leveled with the grade that's already in the bucket, right? So to determine how deep you're going to dig, let's say you get a few feet in there, you're measuring out, okay, is this hole deep enough? Get your shovel, place it, kind of level and see where you're at, and then take it next to the container and see if it's leveled, right? And then that'll give you a good measure of how deep it is. The next thing to consider is how wide you want to dig your hole. For best practices, we encourage wider holes so that the roots get established with the native soil around it. Okay, so you want a hole that's about 2 to 3 times wider. Gerard and his crew did us the huge favor of loosening that soil, so you don't have to go 3 times as wide, but 2 is good. You want to give it space so that when you backfill the soil and compact it, it's still loose enough so that the roots could start growing in their natural form. All right, so we pre-dug this hole, and we're going to get this tree planted. So you'll want to lean over the tree, kind of loosen up the gallon so that the tree is easily able to be pulled out. Usually takes 2 to 3 people. And then, yeah, once it is out, you could go ahead and loosen up the roots a little bit to get it stimulated. So right here, you give the roots a little pull. And then, yeah. So we'll place it in. And then it looks to be leveled with the grade of the soil. So then that's when you would start backfilling, what it's called, backfilling. And then, yeah, you could either do it with your hands if you're trying to get it a little rough and dirty. We do have gloves if you need them, or if you like playing with the dirt, that's fine too. And then, yeah, when you're backfilling, you want to make sure the tree's upright. So if you have one person standing and holding the tree upright while the other person's backfilling, it'll help get the tree in correctly.
I have a question. You have a big rock there. Should that be put in or should that be left out?
That should be left out. Yeah, if there's any rocks or if you find plastic or whatever, you want to take it out. What you do want is all the native soil. You want the tree to start establishing with the environment it's going to grow in. So no mulch, don't mix it with anything. We typically don't use fertilizer or any nutrients like that. Just use the soil that you pulled out, okay?
How many people will it take to plant each tree?
I would recommend you break off in groups of 2 to 3 to plant each tree. You know, we have quite a few trees, so you know everyone will get into action. 2 to 3 is good, so that you're tag teaming it, taking a few stabs at it, and then you have each other to spot. So after the soil is backfilled and compacted, you're going to create what's called a berm.
Before you go there, can I add something?
Yeah.
I would actually recommend planting the tree so its soil inside the pot is 1 to 2 inches above the natural soil because it might settle a bit. And it's better to have the tree a little bit too high than too deep because you don't want a lot of water to collect right around the trunk.
Exactly, good point.
Folks, what you see here, we want you to try it at home.
So yeah, the intention with the berm is to capture water, one, and then you're going to add mulch to that. And with mulch, you don't pile it on like a volcano, you want donuts. So you want to keep a ring of mulch, which we have a pile of right there. So you'll create kind of a donut of mulch. What mulch does is help insulate moisture, which is good because it helps give the tree water, and it helps keep grass and roots out because we don't want grass and roots competing with our young tree. So you'll put a ring of mulch kind of just on top of your berm, and you don't want it going too close to the trunk. Usually about 6 inches away from the trunk, you'll just put a berm or a ring or a donut, whatever you want to call it, of mulch. All right. And then thereafter, you'll mulch the tree, and we also have a water station because we want to help get these trees established properly. So you'll get a bucket of mulch poured around, and then you'll get a bucket of water also poured around, and that'll help establish the tree. And one thing also, keeping it a little above the grade of the soil, and you want to make sure you compact the soil pretty good. A lot of the time we'll see a tree get watered and then it starts to lean a little bit because the soil wasn't compacted enough. So that's also something to consider. And then we're leaving nursery stakes on because we're going to have a crew come back and double stake the tree. Right? All right. this is a red ironbark eucalyptus tree. Yeah.
What kind of tree is that, David?
A red ironbark. It's a eucalyptus tree. It does very well in this climate. It grows nice and tall. We're planting quite a few of these today. And then also on the other trees, if you're interested, they have labels. We selected trees based on their ability to adapt to our climate to provide us the most benefits. So if you have any questions on species and species selection, you could ask our arborist. I know they have a wealth of information that they could share with you. But anyways, this is what the tree you plant should look like. It shouldn't be leaning, should be kind of upright to the best of your ability with the ring of mulch. And then after that, we'll get water and bring it here. Any questions or comments from the arborist? Anything anyone else want to add?
Do we water too after we plant?
Yeah, so we have buckets over there for watering the tree.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll take it to the water station, fill the bucket up with water, and then dump that 5-gallon around the tree. Any other questions? Comments from the arborist? Any other pro tips? Pretty straightforward.
Maybe mulch first, then water.
Mulch first, then water, yeah. Yeah, so mulch first, then water. And yeah, these trees are going to be here for a long time, so let's get them planted right? They're going to be here 40, 50, hopefully 60 years. So if we can get them in the ground right, that's a win. That's what we're looking to do. You know, take an extra 5 minutes to plant a tree right, you give it another 10 years. It's pretty awesome. All right? Okay. All right, so if we don't have any other questions, we could start dispersing. Shovels and tools are back there. The trees on this side of the park have already been staged in their location. And then we're going to work on getting the other ones distributed.
So if you look to your to the north, I guess to most of your left, we actually have them beginning in that big grass area, and then it wraps around the tennis courts and the volleyball court to the back. So we need groups that way and some that way, but there's a lot of trees behind, starting in that area, wrapped around the back side. Yeah.
And then some are pre-dug, right?
All of them are pre-dug.
all of them.
Yeah. You should find where their trees are located is where they go. Yeah.
What? Wait. Oh, those are over there.
Let us go there.
They're filling up the water on the other side of the building. Take all the buckets over there. Take them all. Take and go. No problem. Thank you.
Thank them for loosening up the soil. A little bit maybe on that side.
Do you two need help?
What kind? What kind of?
Okay.
No,
No, we can all just work on this.
Should we join?
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Okay.
Okay, hi guys. Oh, we're working. Okay.
No, it's not a.
Okay, let's get this root out of here, and then we are good to go. All right, let's do it. So we're going to tap on the tree, and then roll it, and tap on the tree, roll it. And you think we got it? All right, let's try it. That's good. We're going to move it. Let's move it really close so you don't have to lift it too far. Okay. All right, so we'll hold the bucket, you pull the tree. Ready, set? 1, 2, 3. Go on to the next one. We'll be this one here. Go on and we'll move it.
Yeah. So they'll have to come back and you'll have to cut it. Okay.
What about your life? It's not exclusive. Why you just talking about it? As if that was he was doing it. Got it. You got it from there.
Put it in there. big street. You wanna hold it? I'll put the dirt in.
Remember they said you need to loosen up the... Yeah, you gotta loosen it up.
We got this. Move it. There we go. Got it. Okay, you want to like hold it still? Oh, let me try to. Yeah.
Shears. I wasn't thinking of needing to do this.
Anyway.
So
Maybe we'll get.
yeah, because you have there, you have another root here. They're all.
It's fine. We can always just overlay it with mulch. There it is. Okay, that should work. There it is. All right, it's ready. But you need a bigger hole. Yeah, number one. Here, come here. You see how it's coning? This doesn't help. So go opposite. You see how you want the wall straight down? You need the wall straight down. So you've got a little bit of digging to do. And if you put the head, like right here, you need to be this much. Deep in. Okay? Alright, thank you.
Yo, Daniel.
I'm feeling more comfortable now, maybe going hiking up again, because I haven't been on hiking. Maybe she's braver than me.
Yay, water!
You guys can put it here. Oh, the mulch goes there. This is water. Yeah. Thank you. And then sometimes you gotta stop
Just drop it off and
before
I'll
they
fill it
go
more.
down.
Okay, that one's ready.
tree guy?
So then once you do that, you want to water until the water kind of pools up around here.
So we should put more of the mulchy stuff?
Not the mulch, just actually just the dirt. Because you want something that's going to stop. You want to basically create a pool right here and have something that stops the water from spilling out. And then mulch is to do that. So you actually just want to put some dirt like that.
Okay. Make it, okay.
So if the grass goes in, it doesn't matter? Okay.
Now the mulch is going to keep the moisture. It's also going to protect the berm around it when the sprinklers hit it.
So you're putting it on top of here?
You need to water it?
Yeah, and then we're going to need some water.
Okay.
And that should be good.
That bamboo? That looks like bamboo. It's bamboo.
This is eucalyptus.
Oh, is it eucalyptus? I'm looking at the.
Yeah,
I'm
this
looking
is
at. Oh, that's
the
the pole.
one that's-
I'm looking at the bamboo. What the heck are we doing? Okay, a little bit more. Is it still leaning?
Yeah, let me put it.
Okay, let me get a little more dirt underneath there. How's that?
That's good, yeah.
Does that go? Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Some of them are more, yes, the roots get to be really bad with some of them.
Well, let me get the other shovel. Maybe I can borrow it.
Is there another shovel?
And on this side over here.
Well, yeah, compact it first.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to, so I
Oh,
can
fill
compact
it
it, because I put, a couple of good things to just get it
Yeah.
to stay.
Yeah.
As you can see, a lot of the volunteers, they're all busy planting trees. We've got 75 trees to plant in Encanto, and then we've got 25 more in Royal Oak, so we've got another crew going on over there. One of the volunteers from our neighboring town of Monrovia, we have Cindy here. Cindy, I've noticed you running back and forth with a bucket of mulch, with a bucket of water. I want you to know I'm exhausted watching you run, but that's a good thing. How did you hear about this?
Actually, through a community service in Monrovia. And I said, I want to be there. I want to plant some trees.
Well, you're planting trees. How many have you planted?
3 so far.
3 so far?
3.
So how did the The two gentlemen, Gerard from the city of Duarte and David from West Coast Arborist, they had a little presentation. How did that help you?
Oh, it helped me out really good. It was kind of hard for me to hear, but it was great what they were saying. I really didn't know much about this. I've never actually volunteered for anything like this, but I love trees, and I'm just so happy to be here.
So, is it fair to say this is a learning experience as well as something? The residual is doing something good at the same time.
Yes, it is very good. I feel really good about doing this, and I'm so glad there's so many people out there, and I love that.
Well, it's a beautiful day. The sun is out. It's a little warmer than I would like.
It is, but it's really good. It's nice. It's beautiful out here.
Well, you know what? You're on our time, so let me not waste more of your time because I need you to plant 5 more. So thank you for coming. Thank you for making this happen because volunteer is the important ingredient here also. So with that, we'll be back.
Hey, Mr. Y, got more water bucket. Bucket.
There's one behind the building, and on the other side of the building, there's another one. And then there's 3 in the very corner of the property. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total left. Pretty much you stay on the sidewalk where that trash can is over there. You're gonna see the first one, and then keep walking the sidewalk and go left. You'll see the second. And if you go to the corner, you'll see the remaining 3.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
I want this dirt. They have nice books in them.
Nice bugs.
Okay. Too much this way.
How's it going over here?
It's going pretty good.
Nice.
It's a lot of trees.
A lot of trees, right? 75 total in this park.
There's that big roots right there that we need to get rid of.
All right, we're about an hour and a half into our planting mode, and I was just lucky enough to stop our Mayor Pro Tem because you're going wild with this planting. You're really enjoying yourself.
Oh, hell yeah, we are. We're going buck wild. We are planting close to 100 trees today, right?
Yes.
This is super awesome.
Now, how many trees have you helped plant today, Sam?
Probably close to 10.
10?
Yeah.
All right. You've been busy.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, this is also, I think, the other value, and I saw you interacting with the young kids here. We have quite a few young kids. I look at them as tender, impressionable minds, and I think that's always a good thing also.
Absolutely. I think we really need to encourage a lot of people to understand more about ecology, understand about our environment, and understanding that it is necessary for us to go and plant more trees, and it is good for now and also for their future.
Definitely. And what I like is, now that we see the holes now, if Antonio will pan across right here, just immediate to our north of us, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trees. They're very sporadic, but when they mature, can you imagine the shade that this area will have?
A long time ago, probably in 2011, prior to 2011, there were a lot of trees over here. And because of the windstorm, a lot of trees actually came down. And I'm so glad to be able to see and plant, right, with all these people from all over the San Gabriel Valley coming over here to City of Duarte to help us, along with rebuilding together with the city, to help us plant about 75 trees here in Encanto. We're planting about 25 trees in Royal Oaks. And these are super, super people, and I'm so glad they're able to go ahead and do that. And this is great for our environment, also social responsibilities.
And what I also was impressed by is when talking to some of the volunteers, some of them, by coincidence, just Googled tree planting opportunities.
Isn't it cool? Isn't it cool? That tells you that people are, I mean, young people, old people, all ages, you know, we need to really worry about our environment.
Yeah, I had a beautiful young family here. The
Yeah,
mother, and
right.
she brought her 2 daughters, right? The,
Yeah, I
the
saw that.
little one is about 7.
Yeah.
The older one is no more than 10, 11.
Yeah.
And when I asked her, so how many trees have you planted? And she counts off on her fingers 3.
Aw, that's so cool for a 7-year-old. I mean, gosh, you know, that's so super awesome. And, you know, props to definitely to the parents for bringing the kids out to let them understand that it is so important for us to save our environment and protect our environment. And one thing, in addition to just planting trees, I believe we need to find better ways to find cleaner energy. And, you know, hopefully one day we can find ways to do more hydrogen fuels, to do more electrified cars and so on. And we need to find ways to find clean energy for all of us so we can have a balanced economy and a very good environment, and we can maintain growth and prosperity.
But for today, we'll just work on good oxygen and taking out the CO2.
You know, Manoj, you're absolutely right, and you talked about this earlier too. This is helping our environment. It's going to create so much oxygen for us. It's going to absorb so much of these CO2 that's in our atmosphere that we're producing. In addition to that, it's helping with absorbing a lot of these water that we desperately need in Southern California. So this is a great thing for us.
It is a beautiful thing. I want to thank you. You know, you're spending your whole morning with us, and I think that tells us, you know, when we have our leaderships right there, hand and foot with us, it's a different feeling. So I really want to thank you for being here and getting your hands dirty, and continue to get on your hands dirty at least until noon, until lunchtime. So this way I got him nailed until 12 o'clock.
Well, thank you, Manoj. Again, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for rebuilding together. And we couldn't do this without you guys. And keep up the good work. Thank you.
All right. On that note, we'll be back.
Make sure it's a smooth move, and then get a very wide shot of all the stuff.
Was it? No. No. And the other one lives off Tostino. Her name is. Tell me how much it is. So they want a mic.
Well, it's been a seriously warm day, but nothing compared to the warmth of all the volunteers who have worked together to plant all the trees, I believe, that are coming up on Encanto. We have our partner here, Gerard. Come on here. How did our volunteers do on this?
They were amazing. I thought, you know, oftentimes when volunteers come, they have a limit. But this group kept giving and giving and not giving up. There were 75 trees to be planted here, and they've completed that task and didn't bow down from the difficulty of trying to dig and plant. It's not an easy task, but we're grateful for that.
Well, I noticed quite a few of them. They had some serious what do you call it, underground roots and all that. But you know what? They surpassed all those challenges.
Absolutely. And we're really grateful. I made a point to try and say hello and thank them for their efforts, and it was neat to hear how they come from different areas and of the community and outside the community to help us.
Well, and that's the cool part, right? We had folks from our neighboring cities that, honestly, I was just surprised.
Right. I met a couple young teenagers from Glendora High School, a couple young teenagers from Bishop Amat High School, a couple from San Dimas High School, a group from a community group from Monrovia. So and these are just outside Camones. Of course, many people from the city of Duarte as well.
Definitely. And then I know David, where are you? David, I know you were running around all over just to make sure that the trees were planted the way both of you showed. How are the trees faring so far?
Yeah, I thought the volunteers did a great job at following our direction. They have heavy mulch piles, which, really makes me happy because it's going to ensure that the trees have a stable, regulated environment and that they'll be able to adjust to their new location.
Well, there were quite a few challenges. I know taking some of the trees out, in their temporary container, if I may. Yeah. I saw some of them. Oh my God! They almost wrestled the 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah. Volunteers were in for a treat with that because as the trees grow, they get more settled into the container, and it is a little wrestling match. But at the end of the day, when you pull out the tree, when you stimulate the roots a little bit to get them adjusted to the new soil, it's going to be a good establishment phase.
Well, we had a great, I think logistically, we had a great system being set up. We had the mulch pile, we had the folks making sure the water buckets were always filled, and we had runners. I call them runners, who are just wheelbarrowing the mulch or the buckets of water all over the place, and that went very well as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think we had a good distribution of work. Everyone was working as a team, which is important in these kind of events. People were helping bring water, people were helping bring mulch, and really just trying to capitalize on what they're able to do. So that was awesome seeing that.
Very cool. Any final thoughts you want to share with our viewers?
I'd just like to say it does take a lot of people to put this together, and I really want to emphasize my appreciation to the team, the grant team. West Coast Arborists is a big part of that. My employees that I work with from the Community Development Department and the Field Services Division, and the support we get from the council members and encouragement, and their participation means a lot for us here in the city of Duarte. So thank you. I'd like to emphasize that appreciation.
Well, thank you, Gerard. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And
you.
David, any last words for our viewers?
Yeah, you know what? We do grant programs in various cities all throughout the state, and I have to say Duarte has been one of my favorites to work with, honestly. Not just saying it because we're in the city of Duarte because we planted trees in there today, but from the start to the finish of the project, it's been great working with the city. It's been great working with such an invested community group and rebuilding together. And, just seeing all the volunteers today is a testament to that, whether it's a council member or just local volunteers. I think it really showed today how invested the community is in tree planting and growing the urban forest.
Well, I want to thank you both. I want to thank West Coast Arborists. I want to thank the City of Duarte for giving us the opportunity to partner in as we're building together San Gabriel Valley Foothills. And with that said, I also want you to know that our commitment goes on beyond this. We're going to make sure that these trees that have been planted not only just thrive, but for the future generation, they provide the shade that we're looking forward to. So on that note, stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more plants come in. And I want to thank behind the camera, because all this wasn't possible if it wasn't for Antonio, who's behind the camera. So Antonio, I know you're waving at us. Thank you, Antonio, for capturing us and making us look good. And Lavon, as his students lovingly call him, Mr. Y. I just say, why not? On behalf of DCTV also, we want to make sure that we're bringing to our viewers local community events that do make a difference and that do create an impression on our community. With that note, thank you for letting us into your home. See you next time.